Hello AOS fans, Robin here, and welcome to the first video we've done looking at Warhammer Underworlds online. Pete and I have played a couple of streams to the game, but we thought we'd have a little look under the bonnet, see how the game works, probably try to do some tutorials of how it goes. So welcome to the channel if it's the first time you've ever tuned in. If you've never heard of Warhammer Underworlds before seeing this online version, I'll tell you a little bit about the game now and then go a little bit, do an overview of how this game works, and then we'll do a series of videos digging in a little bit more detail, running through the tutorials and stuff like that, and then hopefully you can find out why Pete and I love this game so much. Now I will say that I've got a sort of tabletop gaming background. I used to play computer games a long time ago, but I haven't really touched a PC for gaming purposes for about 20 years or so, and this game has brought me back. So I'm very new to the streaming game, so if you're used to watching online streams, and this may be a bit rubbish in comparison, but hopefully it's okay, hopefully it's useful. Pete and I, he's my the other half of Agents of Sigmar. We do weekly battle reports of the physical game of Warhammer Underworlds, which is produced by Games Workshop, and it's now in its third season, and we do a game every week with all the various warbands. In that warband there are roughly 8 warbands per season, so you're roughly looking at 24 warbands. In this online version currently there are 4. It's an arena combat game that takes place over 3 turns, and it's basically you have to score glory in order to win the game, and the person with the most glory at the end of the day wins. I think it's a little bit different from many other online games, although I have to say I don't play them a lot, as I've just said. But this game is basically each person takes a turn to activate a fighter and you normally have a plan that you're trying to achieve, and that you'll get objective glory for that. But also at the same time you're trying to hit your opponent and kill them, because that's one way of one way of winning glory is to kill your opponent's fighters. So what are the opponent's fighters? Let's have a look. Go into the begin, and here we go. So this is my warband. I'm playing the Iron Skulls boys. They're the Aurochs, and they're a sort of what we might call an aggro warband is the terminology. So they like to hit things, and that's how they score most of their glory, by hitting things. So what is glory exactly? Well, as I said, it's basically our way of scoring, really. It's effectively victory points, that kind of thing, and there are a number of different ways to score them. You have 2 decks of cards in this game. You have an objective deck and a power card deck, which I'll come on to in a minute. But the objective deck basically gives you different things you want to do, and the simplest one is probably just standing on an objective, which is confusing because the word objective is used twice and it means slightly different things. But within the game on the board, because in the game you start off with a battlefield arena, and at the beginning of the game you each place objective tokens, and they have numbers on them, and some of the cards say hold objective 1 or hold objective 2, and you just stand on that objective, and if you're standing on it at the end of a turn, then you get a glory point. And there are other things like you might get a glory for doing something specific, like making 3 charges with a fighter, which is basically running in and hitting people 3 times. You might get a glory. So you kind of tailor your deck to how you want to play, and then you try and score glory. And so you can score glory either by achieving your objectives or by killing your opponent, and most normally a combination of the two. Either one way probably won't win you the game. So let's have a look at the available warbands in this game. So there are 4, as I said, and this is only a beta release. It is only on a PC at the moment, and I don't know of any plans to release it to wider platforms. So if you've got Steam on a PC, then you can play this. It's in early access, so more warbands are coming. You can see down here we've got these 4 symbols. We've got 3 to come, maybe there were 4 in the original first season, and there is 1 on the way, we are promised. So this first one is Steelheart's Champions. They're the Stormcast Eternals. They are the poster boys of Games Workshop's Warhammer Age of Sigmar universe, and here they are. There's 3 of them. They have 3 fighters, and they're all tough, hard as nails, quite difficult to kill, and they can mete out some horrible damage. And we've got Khorne. They have a dog on their side called Riptooth. These guys are kind of like archetypal bad guys. They worship the blood god, who wants blood and skulls to eat, and they're just trying to mash your face in, basically. Talking mashing your face in, there's also the Aurochs. They're a bit more simplistic. They're not really just doing it for the hell of it, just want to smash your face in for the hell of it. And There's 4 of them as well, and then finally you've got the sepulchral guard, who all could do with a bit more food. They are walking the dungeon halls here at Shadespire, where this game takes place, and they've done so for eternity, and they're essentially looking for a way out, or call it what you will. The lore is not important. Why you're doing this is not so important. At least it's not important to me. It's just a good, fun, tactical game. I will go over that in the tutorials of how you actually play the game, but I will just say here, so each warband has cards, and it starts off with your fighter card. So that this one has 7. Now there's 7 of these, as you notice. The others are only 3 or 4 fighters. These are a little bit weaker than the others, but they make up for it by their numbers. Over here they have some activations that you can do. So every fighter can move, every fighter can go on guard, every fighter. These don't exist for every fighter. These only exist for the warden. He's got a special ability. He can move fighters. This enables him to move his own fighters. So in a game, we'll go through this in the tutorial, but in a game you can activate 1 fighter per activation. So there's 3 turns and 4 activations within a turn. And for 1 activation, you normally activate 1 fighter. And one of the activations you can do is move. But the warden can actually use it, push his minions around, and he's allowed to do 1 activation. He's allowed to move 2 fighters at once. And then he can also return. So this is the only warband at the moment that has this mechanic. The undead essentially keep rising again, and you can use your warden, one of your warden's activations, to rise again and bring one back if people have died. It's quite powerful mechanic for the sepulchral guard. And then here we have the statistics. So this is the battle. Nearly every fighter has an attack characteristic, and the higher these numbers are, generally the better. So this down here is the range. This is a range of 2 hexes. The board is all done by predetermined hexes, and this, you can see the champion here only has 1, but this is how many damage. This is the number of dice they roll. So they roll 2 dice, and they're looking for hammers. The game uses specialised dice, and you want hammers on the dice. And then this is how much damage they do, 2. So if you do 2 damage to this fighter, he has 4 wounds. If he was fighting himself for some reason, he would take him down to 2 wounds when he hit. So as you can see, this guy, the champion, is almost as good, but he only has a range of 1. He can't reach quite as far, so he has to get closer. But then as you look here, this is the harvester. He requires swords. So he needs 2 swords. He still does 2 damage, but he requires 2 swords, 2 fury on his dice. And if you need 2 fury, there are less fury on the faces of the dice. So there are 2 hammers on the faces and only 1 fury. And then if we go right down until we get to the Prince of Dust, he only rolls 2. He rolls 2 hammers again, but he only does 1 damage to start off with. But they do have an inspire condition, and so the inspire condition for the warden is 2 friendly fighters are returned to the battlefield. The reward condition for the champion is this fighter is returned to the battlefield. So when people die, when the rewarder returns them, they inspire, and when the warder has returned 2 people, he inspires. And what happens when you inspire is you get slightly better characteristics. So if you remember, he had a movement of 2. Dodge is his defense. So when you roll a defense dice, you're looking for dodges. There's things called dodges and shields, or dodges and blocks, and a shield and a block are the same thing. And again, block is slightly better than dodge, but he's looking for dodge rolls on his dice, and he's got 4 wounds. So when he's inspired, you'll see he stays at 1, but his movement goes up to 3, and his wounds stay the same. But actually, his attack gets quite a lot better. It's still range 2, but now he rolls 3 hammers and does 3 damage, as opposed to was doing 2 hammers and 2 damage. And similarly, the champion, he goes for up to 3 dice and 2 damage as well from 2 and 2. So they get better. I'm just going to go out of here, and we'll just have a quick look at the Aurochs, and we'll look at the deck. You see here, their condition is different. Their inspire condition, they have to suffer damage. So in the sepulchral guard, they had to bring somebody back. In the Aurochs, they have to, if they take damage, then they inspire, and they get better as well. All the fighters get better when they inspire, but all warbands have a slightly different inspire condition, and that does change the way you play them. And the way you do operate in the battle is you have objectives, as I said. So we're looking at this Auroch objective, which is the biggest and the best. I've just managed to delete that by mistake. I'll go into here and we'll find it. So the biggest and best, score this in an end phase if your leader took an enemy fighter out of action in the preceding action phase. So, as I said, the turns are broken down into 4 activations. And if you manage to kill somebody with your leader during those 4 activations, then at the end of the turn, end of those 4 activations, you can score this biggest and the best card. So that when you actually get the glory for the kill at the time you did it, and then you get this extra glory at the end phase. And I'm just going to put that back in my deck. There we go, there it is. And these are all the cards. Cards are made up of objective cards. There's 12 of those, and you have to have 12. You can't have more, but there are more to choose from. So the ones that I've got are these ones that I've got this little corona around them. Some are better than others, and depending on what you're doing, like supremacy here, if you hold 3 or more objectives, so they're the physical objective tiles on the board, they're much better for the sepulchral guard because you've got to be standing on 3 of them, and they've got 7 models, whereas all the other warbands have got 4 or less models, so it's much harder to score. So that's the objectives. Then you have ploys, and your ploys you can have you have to have ploys. You have ploys and upgrades. And you have to have as many ploys as you have upgrades. So ploys are generally slightly better, but you have to have the same number of ploys as upgrades, and you have to have a minimum of 10 upgrades. So normally people go for 10 and 10, because when you're playing, you'll be drawing them randomly from a deck, and the less you've got in there, the more chance of the card you're wanting coming out there is. So I think I sounded a bit like Yoda when I did that. So these are your ploys, so you can pick your ploys, and again, it all depends on what you're trying to do. Ploys are played in the game, and they normally can be played straight away. When you're doing it, when you're playing. Upgrades require you to spend your glory. So when you win it, you kill somebody, you get a glory point. You can spend that glory to say put great fortitude on them, which gives one of your fighters 1 more, which makes it a little bit more difficult to kill. When I say you spend your glory, you don't lose it. It's double-sided, so it has an unspent side and a spent side. It still counts towards the end of your game. It still counts to your total as to victory points, as it were, for the end of the game, if you've spent it or not spent it. But you can only spend a glory once to add one of these upgrades. So, but like I say, you still have it. So if you get 10 and you spend 5, you get 10. You'll count as having 10 glory at the end. It's not spent from your victory. I hope that makes some sense. And that's kind of it. So there's 2 aspects to the game. There's the physical. Well, not the physical, there's the actual battling on the board, which is like moving people on the board, attacking, fighting, holding those objectives, trying to achieve your goals. And then there's deck building, which is trying to decide how you want to play and choosing the best cards that fit that. We'll do videos that cover those 2. Now, there's a little overview for you. I play the Orcs. Do look out for our online games. We've got a few of them now. And yeah, we can have a look at those, and we'll be doing more as we go. I also look out for future videos in the tutorial series. I'm going to be looking at the actual tutorial that Steel Sky Productions have made, and you can sort of follow that through that with me. I think that will be useful because the tutorial can be a little bit confusing, and it goes a little bit fast sometimes. So I will try and talk you through that a little bit. So do hope you like this. If you're enjoying the game, let me know. If there's anything you want to know about it, do pop things down in the comments. You can find Pete and I at Agents of Sigmar on Facebook, and we'll answer questions there as soon as we can. So yeah, welcome to the channel if you've not been before. Do like and subscribe if you haven't seen us, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.